Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Buon anno. I am back, refreshed. We all took a little break, and we are ready to start our Live in Italy magazine YouTube channel, our articles, and now our podcast, which can now be found on Spotify. Just look for Italy Answered. And of course, we are Live in Italy magazine. I am pleased today to introduce you to Rino of the YouTube channel One Stop Abruzzo. So if you're watching the video version or reading the article, we'll put the links below. As of today, he is too short of reaching 10,000. So if you're watching this video, hit it. And even if he's more than 10,000, hit it anyway. Because we've talked about before, every subscribe, like, and comment counts. Today is a very important conversation because we're going to talk about one of your favorite subjects, which is moving to Italy, buying a home, and staying there. And a lot of people are doing that these days. So Rino isn't a realtor, but he's a resource. So we're looking forward to talking to him about all he knows about Abruzzo, his region, buying a home, and renovating. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. So, hi Rino, Happy New Year.
Hi Lisa, Happy New Year to you too, and thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, and I love it that we're starting off the year speaking to a native Italian who's a specialist in his region, because that's how we learn. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Okay, yeah, obviously from Italy, so hopefully the accent is not too bad. I'm told that the accent is not strictly Italian, so hopefully it's it's good for the listeners. So I'm originally from Abruzzo, which is a region in the center of Italy. Many people abroad, of course, knows about Tuscany, Umbria, Sicily, but we have other hidden gems in Italy, and I think my region is one of those. So it's close to Rome, just 200 kilometers from Rome, and it's actually bordering with Lazio, and it's a nice region that maybe we can talk a little bit about later. But yeah, it's center of Italy.
Yes, of course. We will talk about the region more, and we'll also put a map too in the article, so you know exactly, just in case you don't know, but there it is. Convenient access. Okay. So tell us a bit about yourself. I know from looking at your website and your YouTube channel, you say that you offer videography services.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the core idea, but mainly I lived some years abroad in Germany and in Ireland, and I know firsthand that being an expat or looking for properties to buy or to rent when you're a foreigner is tough because, of course, you have the legalities, the specifics of each country, and I had my fair share of trouble when I was an expat myself. So the idea of the channel was, okay, if I can promote my region, which, like I said, it's little known, and while I can also bring investment and help people from abroad, while also helping realtor to do the business. You know, I thought it was extremely win situation for everyone, and that is the main goal of the channel. Of course, not being the realtor give me some advantages, meaning that I don't have necessarily an interest on selling the property because I'm simply doing the marketing, but I'm not getting, you know, the agent fee. So I'm if you're following the channel, you will see I'm pretty straightforward. You know, when I see something that I don't like, I say it. If I spot little things, I always say, and I often get in the comments that this is much liked by the viewers. So the mission is help people to move in Abruzzo stress-free, and I provide and I do the due diligence in giving them the trusted contacts that they can rely on and buying safely remotely with confidence.
Right. And I do see that in the comments on the videos that people I mean, that's why people are on YouTube. Like, yeah, we love movies and narrative and fancy pictures and everything like this, but you give it like it is. And I think, especially as an American, when we're trying to make a big purchase, we just kind of want as close to reality as possible. And of course, that's key when you're buying a home. So, just out of curiosity, you did talk about traveling abroad and living abroad. What besides this? What is your other profession?
So yeah, it's totally unrelated, Lisa. To be fair, it's I work as a project manager for actually a US company. We provide contact services for clients, big players in the industry. I can't say any names due
No,
to
that's okay.
agreement, but big companies, tech companies, e-commerce. So it's absolutely totally unrelated to what I do. So the main job is completely different, but I would say the mindset, the corporate mindset that I have, and the role as a project manager really gave me, shaped me also in a way on how I handle my channel. You know, I'm very precise with the deadlines, very precise with the communication. So I think even though apparently they don't seem related, I think the side hustle activity on YouTube has actually benefited from my main job.
Sure, that's great. And so many of us have side hustles. So that's great to know. And obviously, travel, just like we love to travel as foreigners looking in Italy, your opportunity to travel professionally and for pleasure has, broadened your world. So that's why we do it. But good for you. That's great to know. So, for any of you who have, and like I said, we'll put a map in the article and ideally in the video of Abruzzo. You are a native of this region. How would you describe it to somebody?
All right. Easier said than done, but I will try. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this is not like the Italy that it's in Tuscany or Umbria or Lazio. This is really authentic region with lot of things to do. So we have beautiful seaside, we have mountains. You can ski while watching the beach, which is not the sea, which is not something really easy. We are one of the region with the highest number of national parks. We have one of
Right.
the cleanest rivers in Europe. So it's really a natural beauty, full of natural beauty. And the advantage of being like under the radar region, if we can touch a little bit on the financials, I would say properties here, but also cost of living in general is significantly lower than other regions in Italy. So for people that are looking either to invest in properties, but also people that are looking for a permanent move, I think it's the perfect balance of living the Italian spirit at a fair cost while still having a return on investment. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes in terms of when you are deciding actually on where to buy in Italy. So definitely take a look at the region because you will be surprised on how many things you can do. And I would like to point out also that we are not short of historical landmarks or anything. We still have amazing churches, amazing monuments. It's
Right.
just, of course, it will never be the St. Peter's Cathedral, but in general.
No. Yeah, but the history in that has not been wiped out. So that's good to know. One thing that has always kind of fascinated me is for anyone who is a nature lover, to have access to such great national parks is wonderful. But thank you because you addressed what I wanted to ask is what makes it distinct. So you've touched on a few things, but namely what we're talking about today is potentially buying a home, living in Italy, moving there, is that it is still affordable, whereas some regions aren't. And you're also very central because a lot of people have bought, in Sicily, closer to the south, other regions in that. And the sea, because it always seems like the countryside and the sea are the two greatest, like nobody goes there because they want to be in the city unless it's profession. So, you have both in Abruzzo, right?
Yes, definitely,
Right.
yes, and many of the cities are very close to the sea. It's especially if when we are talking with U.S. buyers. I understand that the distance perception is different between us and U.S., for example, but or Australia, even worse. Like for us, 30 kilometers, which is I think less than 20 miles
Hmm.
seems already a big distance, but in reality, we know it's maybe a 25 minutes drive. And within this 25 minutes drive, you can reach, many beaches or maybe mountains. So the distances are short, and you have everything around you very conveniently.
That's amazing. I was just going through my head that I had to drive into Miami yesterday and to go my last part of my journey, 4.5 miles, took over 30 minutes.
Yeah,
So just
yeah.
imagine if you lived in Abruzzo, you could go from, countryside to mountains to sea in the same amount of time. So what is would it be like the major city in Abruzzo that would give access, let's say, to the train stations to get you into back and forth to Rome?
Okay, so the infrastructure is actually pretty good because that's one of the reasons why we are having a growing interest. Like we mentioned at the beginning, center of Italy, the main city is called Pescara, which is 160,000 people, and it has an airport and major connection both with Rome and with the north and south. So you are on the east seaside, and you have the trains connecting Bologna, Milan, Bari, and you go in Rome in 2 hours with the highway. So it's
Right.
actually really smooth, really smooth. People love that they land in Rome, and in 2 hours in half tops are on the other coastal side, and even less drive if they decide to buy a little bit more on the internal part.
Right.
So very convenient. The airport, it's an international airport. Doesn't have a lot of destination in the winter, but in the summer it's buzzing with destinations. In fact, you can have cheap flights. We have Ryanair, which is very popular
Hmm.
in Europe, one of the biggest airlines actually in Europe, with a few hundred euros, maybe even less than 200, you can go to Prague, Poland, Barcelona. So it's always nice that you maybe have your base here, and you know
Right.
that in the summer, if you want to have 3 days, I don't know, in Prague, you just go there, airport, very convenient, 200 euros, and you get even a two-way trip, to Prague. So Prague to name one, but again, in the summer there are multiple destinations, even national. You have flights to Sardinia, Sicily, so it really gets things going on. And the train again, it's very popular in Italy,
Hmm.
like also in Spain, Germany, but the trains in Europe are really good, and you can go to Bologna in 3 hours, stress free. So even if you don't fancy doing a lot of mileage or kilometers with the car, you have plenty of options also with public transport.
That's great to know. That's excellent. So let's talk about your channel, One Stop Abruzzo. I have to say that when I came across it, I did automatically think, it's a real estate channel. But you tell us what the mission of the channel is. What are your goals?
Yes. So the initial idea was just to, like we mentioned, give the opportunity to people from abroad that want to buy in Italy confidently to be the person that is bridging the communication between them and the agents. Because what happens in Italy is that sometimes due to language barriers, or sometimes it's time zone or whatever, or different perception of what is a fast reply. There is
Hmm.
a misalignment on how things are done in US, Canada, UK, Germany
Right.
versus Italy. So the feedback I always get is like amazing. You always reply in 24 hours. So how come this agent is not answering to my email despite I contacted him many times? So what I basically did is I created a partnership network with just 3 or 4 selected agents that I know that they are very that I can trust, that they speak English,
Right.
that they do things by the books, so that if someone wants to buy it from abroad, they don't have any issues whatsoever. And this is also the reason why I'm only doing the marketing myself, because it's very important that in Italy, when you buy, you are followed by a trusted real estate agent.
Right.
They need to be certified. There are people that market themselves like a digital, like real estate agents, but they aren't. So it's very important that the person following you is a real estate agent. So you know that they are checking the documents, that they know the technicalities, that they can recommend you the proper notary. And that's basically some of the due diligence that I already pre-made, because I'm introducing you to 4 or 5 real estate agents that I know they absolutely work without issues.
That's great to know. And again, that's just a matter of, especially when you're doing this from a distance, is that you need that reassurance. You need to know. And there's a lot of, I hate to say the word bureaucracies, but there's just a lot of things that we don't know. So that makes me think, because I did interview somebody maybe about a year ago who did, and that was had to do with just the pandemic, but bought completely online, never saw the property until it was purchased. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about online versus in person?
So obviously I'm marketing properties online, so I'm a bit biased in saying that the videos I do, I'm really hoping they help, because normally they are between 10 minutes and 20 minutes long. So I think I provide at least the necessary details on the property with the filming. I think you get a 360 view of the rooms, you get a decent idea of the space. So it's definitely possible to buy it from abroad, and many people have done it. Rarely you get disappointed. But also, if someone is calling me and they say, "Okay, Rino, I need to have another look at the property. Can you go there again? Maybe we do a
Right.
video call." This is something that I do also on the sideline. I have
Which
a
I think I think that's a great resource, Reno, especially that. Like I talked to somebody, that they'll do that. So you're kind of like, but what I'm talking about is the actual sale, the working with the realtor. Like I go on a website and we get inquiries every single day about, buying a €1 property, and I have to defer them, and I only won't even refer them. Put it this way, because that's not our purpose as a magazine. But let's say I go online and I'm looking for properties for sale in Abruzzo. I connect with what looks to be a real estate agent, and I go all through that. That's what I was saying. It's like, do you feel, as a foreigner going into Italy, Abruzzo in particular, that it's a good idea? It's Is it a better idea to really get there first and get to know the area?
Yes, I think it's safe to say it's always the best, because you really get a feeling or of where you are, the town vibes, the connection, the time that it's taking. You can check it on Google Maps, but it's never like when you're driving there and then you maybe get impressed. By the olive trees, because maybe they are not characteristic of where you live. So you are getting amazed by things that you maybe didn't even know. You get used to way of living, to way of eating some food, which now with the amount of content which is online is easy to imagine, but it's never the same when you're living. So living the experience. So definitely, I recommend coming here. But again, if this is not possible and you've noticed the property for you, know that it's still possible to have a stress-free purchase from abroad without any issues.
That's great to know. So, what I think And you can obviously, because my next question is, to tell us specifically about the types of services you can offer for anybody who wants to buy. And then you also talk about renovating a home in Abruzzo. Is that when it's just like buying a property here, we see multiple properties, it can become overwhelming. We have to go home, we have to think about it, even if we're not even like, we usually have a price range kind of thing in mind. But here's an opportunity, is that you can't always get on a plane and go back. Or what we've had other people say is that maybe you need to see this town, this small town that you're thinking about in winter, or you need to see it, in a different light. Is that your services could potentially just offer people, their own personalized video. Is that correct? To capture something that they may not miss, and they're not in a position at that point to get on a plane and go.
Absolutely, Lisa. This is something that I do. I mean, the major content is selected by me in partnership with the realtors. But I've had at least 15, I would say, video requests which are private. So there are existing private videos that I filmed from potential buyers. And in that case, it's a different kind of video because the buyer really in advance tells me, okay, I need to have the exact measure of the entrance. I need to know exactly what am I looking at 4 o'clock? Where is the sun? How is it warm? So they have a different set of requests, which I study. And then when I go and do the video, I record the video as I'm speaking with them based on their questions. And of course, we can do also the follow-up. So those are the private video that I also offer. And the particularity of those videos is that they don't have to necessarily be of properties of agents that I work with, but I can get in touch with anyone. And normally I would say 90% of the times it's the realtor will say, yeah, why not? You can do it, no problem. So the personalized video experience, of course, is an added value for someone that really wants to go in the details of a specific property.
That's great to know. So are there any other services that maybe we didn't touch upon? Maybe like you talk about renovation or anything else?
Yeah, it's more planned for this year. So one thing that I found myself doing is normally it's not expected for me to drive potential buyers to properties. But what happens is that even though I work with real estate agents, so they should technically go and take people on the towns and on the properties, the viewers always ask for me to go with them. So I'm thinking to add this as a service. So maybe you land in Italy, you don't want to rent the car, you arrive in Abruzzo, and you say, Rino, can you stay 2 days with me and driving me around? You save on the rent of the car, plus you have my first-hand opinion, and we can go and see properties. This is something that I thought to add. And about renovation, this is something also on my radar, but speaking openly, I want to have a set of contractors that I absolutely trust. Being a project manager, wants someone to stick to what they promise. So if I recommend a plumber or an electrician or construction company, I need them to be true to their word. So only when I know that I have those set of companies that I can recommend, then I will start promoting like project management services also to support in renovation. But even today, I have a few contacts, only I don't put myself like in front of it. I just recommend a couple of contacts, but I'm not into the position to vouch for those companies, even though they will still do great. But I really would like to evolve this into a more tailored consultancy project management approach for the renovation. And I know renovation is a big thing in Italy, especially with €1 houses and or houses to renovate. So I know there's a market for it, but just before doing so, I would like to really have a list of trusted partners that I can rely on.
That's great. That's good to know. And of course, like besides the laws and everything, whether it's buying a property or a renovation, there's always a thing. Most of the time, the people that we've had experience, they might speak Italian, but it might not be to the proficiency of being able to deal with, let's say, somebody like a contractor. So there's always like that reassurance that you need that. And that's great. Great to know that you're thinking outside the box, expanding the services. So obviously we can't, and that's not our purpose, but hopefully you'll be able to kind of give us an idea, maybe through like not a specific property that's for sale, but in, let's say, three groupings of ranges, could you give us like what's the realistic amount of money you think to get something that's first, needs a lot of work? Because some people are really much into that. They love the idea of having total control over the renovation process. And then something that might just need, like a kitchen remodel or something like that, or bathroom remodel, or compared to maybe something that's a little bit more like, ready to move in.
So
Western standard, American standard, let's say,
no,
like, so a little bit more on the luxury line. What's the price range is what you could say, and you could say in euros too. It doesn't need to be in US dollars.
so it's difficult to estimate simply because it depends on what kind of material you choose. For example, working with bricks and stones is difficult than working with regular plaster. Which tiles do you like? Which kind of bathroom setup you want? Where is the area? Is the roof damaged? The roof is one of the biggest factors. So for anyone listening, I think if you are thinking of renovating something, definitely check at least the roof. If the roof is redone or doesn't need anything, you're already, for example, in a good spot. So, but you can have anything. I would say with 20K, you can buy the property to completely renovate. So property plus land, and you actually have some.
So you're talking about a detached home, not an apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Even if it's really on maybe a little bit off the main towns, you can find some great deals. And then you have to consider anything from 1,000 to 2,500 per square meters to renovate. So that's an estimate. I know that it's pretty broad, but honestly, anything I would say would be difficult to measure. And bear in mind that renovation is you get tax relief in Italy over 10 years. So basically, if you spend 100,000 on a renovation, with the new 2025 law, you get 36% back each year. So you will get 36,000 back divided by 10 years. So each year you will get 3,600 back. So you are recovering part of your investment year after year. I'm not sure you have something similar also in the US, but here it's.
So you're talking about a house that needs serious renovation. There's like an incentive.
Yes, exactly.
In order to get like a rebate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And incentives are different based on what you do. If you are particularly onto green energy, tax reliefs are even higher. If you put solar, heat pumps. So
right.
There are things that specialists in this can guide you. So the recommendation is always do not do things yourself. What you are paying the professional, it will save you a lot of time, a lot of hassle. It's going to get back to you. So don't be scared by a quote, because you will get money back in less stress, and that you've done everything perfect. You have the document. So that is my recommendation.
Yeah, so that's good to know. So what you're saying, are you saying that maybe if somebody had 150,000 euros let's say euros, because some of our readers are not from the US, is that would probably give you something really great.
Yes, definitely.
Uh-huh.
And I'm saying this with confidence because I have many properties in my channel. I particularly recall one which was in Filetto. I don't know, maybe someone can find it using the right keyword, but it had a beautiful ruin with stone and bricks. And the owner had already quoted the works, which were around 70 to 80K to renovate. And it has a beautiful land with olive trees, amazing views, and we are exactly in the figure that you mentioned because the property was around 35,000 plus 80, and but you will get an amazing countryside villa, which is also would be very interesting to have a small B&B also because it will be
Right.
private in an amazing setting. So yeah, it's a kind of a little investment when you think about it, and you could potentially turn this something like that into something really tailor-made for your
Right.
tastes.
And I think anyone who's going to, watch or is already watching One Stop Abruzzo is that you will see that you give different scenarios. Like I was watching one of the videos that you interviewed a couple. You said yourself that it was not your typical video, but they did the same thing. They more or less, restored a ruin. And then they talked briefly about just finding out just by working the land, planting, having chickens and that the part of the land that was workable, they were able to find some kind of incentive. So we won't go into this. I encourage you obviously to go to the channel to get more answers and contact Reno directly. So I think kind of we talked about everything that's kind of in one question covering a lot of things. But let's say for foreigners, if you could narrow it down to one, two, or even three things, that's the most important thing that a foreign buyer should know before they, you know, take the next step, what would you say?
I would say to do the proper due diligence, not because there are a lot of frauds, because there aren't, but sometimes the devil is in the details. So I would say the most important piece of advice I would give is, like I mentioned, have a proper realtor following you. Do not trust people that don't have license because
Right.
there are pitfalls there. And
Sure.
the other thing I would like to say is maybe I mean, it doesn't maybe speaks highly of the region for me if I say this, but like I said, for me, it's always about speaking the truth. In Abruzzo, do not buy under the assumption that the property will appreciate in value in 10 years.
Right.
Here it's not like what's happening in the US or Canada that prices are booming. That's not the case. Things have been a little bit flat. So I would say if you buy the property, it's likely that you will not lose money if you resell it, but it's not also like that you will make a profit
Right.
if you sell it in 5 years. So I would say do not approach this under the assumption that you can make money unless you are pretty good at renovating yourself. So you buy it and you renovate it yourself. So you save a lot of money there. You make it special and then you resell it. That could be something really interesting to do. But yeah, those are my two
That's
cents.
great advice. And you are not the first person to say to work with a professional, with a realtor. And like I said, as foreigners, I think that's key. And we've talked about before, but we won't get in now. Remember that realtors in Italy represent both the seller and the buyer. So I think that adds to a level of fairness as well. So one thing you were saying is about investment, and I think you've in as far as our audience and listeners, watchers, is that most of them that have bought properties are not looking to flip a home, are not looking for a return on their investment. They're looking for something else. So, in your words, what do you think foreigners are looking for in Italy?
You're exactly spot on here, Lisa, because Abruzzo is in the south of Italy. Even if it's in the center geographically, it's in the south of Italy. This means that we get the 7% flat rates on income. So lots of interest that I've seen comes from people that want to retire here, because you basically get a really low tax. You pay not a lot on your property. Cost of living is low. So you actually, the weather is beautiful here, honestly, mild winters, and yeah, summer can get a little bit hot, especially on July and August. So that's something to know.
Yeah, but you go to the ocean like all the other
Yeah,
people
exactly.
in Italy.
You can always go and chill a bit on the mountains again.
Yeah,
You
the
have mountains
mountains
to
too.
ski, so you have both it. But I would say that when you combine everything, so the quality of life, the quality of food, the 7% flat rate, the healthcare, it's really a nice nation, country, or specifically in this case, region to move. So, and the 7% rate applies to towns under 20,000 people, and there are plenty in Abruzzo. So that's one of the only constraint that you have to look for, that the town needs to be below a certain amount of people. But other than that, it's yeah, lots of advantages as I see it.
Right. So what would you say that people are searching for when reaching, and I can tell you this is like, I want you to tell me your opinion, but this was kind of accelerated. It's not no longer just retirees, since the pandemic, and obviously the opportunity to save money and work remotely has helped too. But what do you think people are searching particularly for in Italy?
I think there's the romantic view of Italy, which is not only romantic. I have to say, having lived in many countries, I can say that there is a lot of truth on the expectation. Less processed food, and you can see it when you go to the markets. You don't have the same amount of already pre-made food. The ingredients are different. Even the same product in Germany or US and Italy, it's different. Less sugar. So I think you decide if you're moving here. You decide that you are switching your life into something that is more healthier, more slow paced. You don't have that stress of constant traffic when traveling to work. You enjoy the openness. You enjoy
Right.
the relationship with people because, for example, one of the feedback I always get is that neighbors are super cool, and they go and check to my properties even if I don't,
Right.
if I am not paying them. You get that sense of community, which I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It surely does everywhere. But what I see here is that in towns, people are really love to see foreign people, and they want to expand their community because I think they understand it's also the key for the survival of some towns.
Right. Yes, exactly that. That's great to know. And that's a great positive inspiration for starting 2025. Thank you for joining us today. So before we wrap it up, I think, we'll put all the links below, but how do we find you? Well, YouTube, right?
Yes.
First and foremost, right?
Yes, YouTube is the main social that I use. I also have the website, onestopappruzzo.com, but for now it's mostly there for awareness. Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, we have a private group. We are at around 3,000 members. So there
Excellent.
they have a more private conversation with me, different kind of interactions. I'm trying to expand a little bit, but yeah, YouTube will always remain the core, and hopefully the channel takes off a little bit to reach a wider audience. Like you mentioned, 10,000 subscribers, still a good result, for a
Right.
small channel in Italy, but hopefully it grows more.
Right. So important. With that being said, We are Live in Italy magazine. We're primarily the website. You can go there, www.liveinItalyMag.com, and on social media, Live in Italy Mag, now on Spotify, of course. And I'm excited for this because some of our resource, Italy Answered, interviews are really popular for those of you that are looking to know more about moving to Italy. Please subscribe to One Stop Abruzzo. You should be subscribed to us if you're watching this on YouTube. Remember, every like, subscribe, comment helps. It helps to push it out there. And it doesn't take anything, it doesn't cost anything. So please help us grow. So with that being said, thank you, Rino, for your time. I'm excited to see how your channel and services develop, and of course, stay in touch so we can know and also let our audience know as you grow and develop.
Yes, thanks to you, Lisa, for having me, and compliments for what you're created with Live in Italy. Really an amazing services to give visibility also to the nation and to us. So really, thanks for the support and thanks for your help.
Great. That's good to know. Thank you. So until next time, bye, everybody. Bye.